Overview of Canada's international student visa landscape. Canada has become one of the most popular study destinations in the world. Over the past decade, the number of international students in Canada has grown dramatically, transforming Canada's education sector and economy. Key facts: 2023 figures. Over 650,000 new study permits were issued. Total international students: more than 1 million studying in Canada. Top sending countries: India, China, France, Nigeria, South Korea. Top provinces: Ontario, British Columbia, Alberta, Quebec. Why Canada is attractive for student high-quality education. Canadian universities consistently rank among the top globally. Post-study work opportunities. Programs like the Post-Graduation Work Permit, PGWP, allow students to work for up to 3 years after graduation. Safety and multicultural environment. Canada is ranked among the safest countries for students. Pathway to permanent residency. Many students use study permits as a stepping stone to immigration. In the past 5 years, Canada's international student population grew by more than 130%. COVID-19 caused a temporary slowdown, but demand surged again by 2023. The Canadian government began reviewing immigration numbers, especially for students, due to pressures on housing, healthcare, and job markets. Challenges for international students. While Canada remains attractive, there are emerging challenges: higher competition, more applicants mean higher rejection rates. Housing shortage. Student cities like Toronto, Vancouver, and Montreal face severe accommodation shortages. Higher costs. Tuition fees and living costs have increased significantly. Changes in immigration policy. New caps, eligibility rules, and financial requirements make planning more critical. Why this section matters. Understanding the current landscape sets the stage for why Canada introduced a study permit cap for 2025. Without this background, the reforms would seem sudden. But they are part of a broader strategy to balance immigration numbers with Canada's capacity to integrate international students effectively. Introduction of the study permit cap for 2025. In January 2025, the Canadian government announced an unprecedented change: a cap on the number of study permits issued in 2025. Historically, Canada did not impose such a limit. The number of permits was guided by demand, institutional capacity, and policy priorities. But the rapid growth in applications, combined with political and infrastructure pressures, pushed the government to impose a limit. New cap: 437,000 study permits for the year, a 10% reduction compared to 2024. Why the cap was introduced. The government cited several reasons: pressure on public services. More international students mean more demand for housing, healthcare, and public transport. University capacity. Institutions have finite resources to offer quality education. Balancing immigration. The cap is a way to manage total immigration numbers. Labor market alignment. Prioritizing students in fields that meet Canada's workforce needs. How the cap works applies to all study levels, from primary school to postgraduate programs. Includes all international students applying for new permits in the year. Each application counts toward the national cap. This means competition for permits will be higher than ever before. Implications: increase competition. Fewer permits means stronger applicants will get priority. Higher rejection rates. Students without exceptional academic or financial profiles may face higher chances of denial. Changes in student choices. Applicants may choose smaller provinces with lower quotas to increase acceptance chances. Example: in 2024, 485,000 study permits issued. In 2025, cap is 437,000, a difference of 48,000 fewer permits. Students applying late in the year may face rejection simply because the quota is filled. Provincial and territorial allocations. Why allocation is important. Canada is divided into provinces and territories, each with different education capacities and immigration priorities. To manage the study permit cap effectively, the government allocates permits to provinces and territories based on education infrastructure, student demand, economic priorities. How the allocation works. The Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada, IRCC, assigns quotas to each province and territory. These quotas limit how many international students each region can accept in a year. Example allocations: 2025 estimates Ontario, 150,000 permits British Columbia, 80,000 permits Alberta, 40,000 permits Quebec, 55,000 permits other provinces territories. Share the remaining permits. These numbers are subject to change annually based on demand and capacity. Why provinces matter for applicants: the province you apply to can significantly affect your chances of acceptance. Large provinces like Ontario have more permits but also more competition. Smaller provinces like Manitoba, Newfoundland, and Nova Scotia may have fewer permits but less competition, and some offer special incentives for international students. Provincial nominee programs, PNPs. Some provinces run PNPs that allow them to nominate international students for study permits or permanent residency. This can be an alternative pathway if you face competition under the national cap. Example: a student applying to study in Manitoba might have a higher acceptance rate because Manitoba's quota is smaller but underutilized. Manitoba also offers programs to help students transition to permanent residency, which may not be available in larger provinces. Impact on students: students must research the quota for their desired province. Application strategies may involve choosing provinces with lower competition or better immigration pathways. This adds a new strategic layer to the student visa application process. Key takeaway: provincial allocations change the dynamics of studying in Canada. It's no longer just about getting admission to a university. You must also navigate a provincial quota system. Introduction: graduate level studies in Canada, including master's and PhD programs, have always been a strong attraction for international students. They offer advanced training, research opportunities, and pathways to immigration. But 2025 brings significant changes. Canada has introduced restrictions to make graduate admissions more selective and aligned with labor market needs. New rule: graduate students under cap. For the first time in history, graduate students are included in the national study permit cap. Previously, all study levels were open to applicants without a strict limit for graduate programs. Now, they must compete within the annual quota. This change increases competition and creates uncertainty for prospective students. Program-specific restrictions starting in September 2025. Not all graduate programs are equally eligible for international applicants. The government has introduced a classification of instructional programs, CIP, system, which lists programs eligible for study permits and the Post-Graduation Work Permit Program, PGWP. Examples of high-demand eligible fields: computer science and information technology, engineering and applied sciences, health-related fields, nursing, medicine, public health, STEM-related disciplines, excluded or restricted fields, certain humanities, arts, and social sciences programs unless connected to labor market needs. Some niche programs with low employment outcomes. Provincial attestation requirement: graduate students must now obtain a provincial or territorial attestation letter, PAL-RTAL. This letter confirms acceptance to the institution and program, that the program is eligible under the provincial allocation and CIP code. This adds a bureaucratic step to the application process. Impact: higher competition. Students must now compete with all applicants within the province's quota. Change in student planning. Many students may now prefer STEM programs or programs with high PGWP eligibility to maximize their career prospects. Program choice limitation. Not all graduate courses will be open to international students. Example: if you wanted to pursue a master's in history, your application could be deprioritized compared to a master's in artificial intelligence due to government policy shifts favoring tech-related skills. Post-Graduation Work Permit, PGWP, changes background. The PGWP is one of the most attractive features of Canada's international education system. It allows students who graduate from designated learning institutions, DLI, to work in Canada for up to 3 years without needing a job offer. Previously, all graduates from eligible institutions could apply. That is now changing. 2025 changes from September 2025. PGWP eligibility is now tied to program-specific CIP codes. Only graduates from certain programs will qualify. Key points: CIP codes identify fields of study aligned with Canada's economic and labour needs. Programs outside priority lists will no longer guarantee PGWP eligibility. The change applies to all DLIs across Canada. Rationale: the Canadian government argues that this change aligns graduate skills with labour market demand, encourages students to choose programs that fill workforce gaps, reduces underemployment of graduates. Implications: students must check PGWP eligibility before choosing a program. This may influence program selection and university choice. Students pursuing ineligible programs may need alternative immigration pathways after graduation. Example: a master's in data science will likely be eligible for PGWP, whereas a master's in fine arts might not, unless specifically approved by the province under labour needs. Strategic advice for students: research PGWP eligibility lists before applying. Consider program alignment with long-term career goals and immigration plans. Consult with advisors or authorized consultants to avoid costly mistakes. Financial proof requirements. Introduction: Canada has always required proof of funds for international student visa applicants. This ensures that students can support themselves without relying on public assistance. In 2025, these requirements have increased significantly. New financial requirements: from September 1, 2025, the minimum financial proof requirements are now higher. Single student, $22,895 Canadian dollars. Student with one dependent, $28,500 Canadian dollars plus each additional dependent. Additional funds required, about $5,000 Canadian dollars per dependent. These amounts cover tuition fees, living expenses, return transportation costs. Why this change? The Canadian government says living costs have risen significantly in cities with large student populations. It ensures students are financially prepared. Reduces risk of student financial hardship. What this means for applicants: applicants must show clear evidence of funds, which can include bank statements, proof of scholarships or bursaries, financial support letters, loan approval letters. Applicants who fail to meet these requirements risk outright rejection. Examples of how this works: if tuition is $20,000 Canadian dollars for 1 year, and living costs are $12,000 Canadian dollars, the student must show total available funds well above the threshold, including additional money for dependents if applicable. Tips for meeting financial requirements: keep updated bank statements showing funds for at least 6 months. Ensure proof of funds covers the first year at minimum. If applying with dependents, include their living and transportation costs in calculations. Maintain transparent and legitimate sources of funds. Bank loans and scholarship letters must be verifiable. Impact: students from lower-income countries may face greater challenges. This could impact the demographics of Canadian international students. Universities may need to assist students with scholarship programs and financial guidance. Key takeaway: financial proof is now a critical part of the student visa application. Without proper preparation, students may be denied entry, no matter their academic qualifications. Application process and timeline: the process of applying for a Canadian study permit has become more competitive and procedural in 2025 due to the introduction of the study permit cap, provincial allocations, program restrictions, and new financial proof requirements. For students, understanding the process and timeline is now more important than ever. Step-by-step application process: research and choose program, check designated learning institutions, DLI, that are eligible for your desired program. Verify whether your program qualifies for PGWP eligibility. Confirm the program's CIP code and whether your province's quota supports it. Example: if you want to study computer science, check if the DLI offers PGWP eligibility and whether the program is under the permitted CIP list for your province. Step 2. Secure admission: apply to your chosen institution and get an acceptance letter. Obtain provincial or territorial attestation letter, PAL or TAL, if required. Ensure admission timelines align with your study permit deadlines. Step 3. Prepare financial proof: gather bank statements, scholarship awards, or loan letters. Ensure funds meet the minimum financial requirements for your situation, single student or with dependents. Step 4. Apply for the study permit. Submit an online application through the IRCC website. Include all required documents: acceptance letter, PAL or TAL, proof of funds, passport and ID, academic transcripts, language test scores, IELTS, TOEFL, Pay the visa application fee and biometrics fee. Step 5. Attend interviews and biometrics. Some students may be asked for interviews or additional biometrics at a visa application center, VAC. Step 6. Receive a decision. IRCC reviews applications according to provincial quotas and national caps. Decisions can take weeks to months, depending on volume. Timeline. Application preparation. 2 to 4 months. Application processing. 3 to 6 months on average. Earlier is better. Due to caps, apply at least 6 to 8 months before your intended start date to increase chances. Important considerations. Late applications may not be processed if the province's quota is already filled. Missing documentation leads to delays or rejections. Stay updated on policy changes through the IRCC website. Implications for international students. The new Canadian student visa rules have far-reaching implications for students worldwide. They influence program selection, finances, timelines, and even future immigration opportunities. Key implications. 1. Increased competition. With a national cap of 437,000 and program restrictions, fewer students will get permits. Students must stand out with strong academic profiles and funding proofs. 2. Strategic program choices. Priority programs in STEM and healthcare fields will likely have higher acceptance rates. Students may choose programs based on labor market needs rather than personal preference. 3. Changes in destination choices. Students may prefer provinces with lower quotas or specific PNP advantages to increase acceptance chances. 4. Financial barriers. Higher proof of funds requirements may limit access for students from lower income backgrounds. 5. Long-term planning. Students must consider PGWP eligibility before choosing programs to ensure career opportunities post-graduation. Example: if a student from India planned to study a Master's in Fine Arts in Ontario in 2025, they might be denied due to program restrictions. High competition for Ontario's quota. Potential PGWP ineligibility. Instead, they may consider a STEM program in Manitoba, where quotas are less competitive and PGWP eligibility is high. Tips for applicants. Tip 1. Start early. Begin your research at least a year in advance. Early applications give you a better chance before provincial quotas are filled. Tip 2. Choose programs wisely. Check whether your program qualifies for PGWP. Consider labor market demand and CIP code eligibility. Tip 3. Choose provinces strategically. Research provincial quotas. Smaller provinces may have easier acceptance rates and immigration pathways. Tip 4. Strengthen your application. Maintain a high GPA. Improve language test scores. Secure scholarship opportunities. Tip 5. Prepare financial documents carefully. Keep bank statements ready at least 6 months prior. Have official scholarship or loan letters. Ensure funds cover tuition, living expenses, and transportation. Tip 6. Seek professional guidance. Immigration consultants or authorized advisors can help navigate the new process, especially with PAL or TAL requirements. Key takeaways. Canada remains a top study destination, but September 2025 marks a new era for international students. The study permit cap, program restrictions, provincial quotas, PGWP changes, and increased financial proof requirements fundamentally change how students apply and plan their studies. Final advice for students: plan ahead. Start early and align your plans with new rules. Be strategic. Choose programs and provinces that maximize your chances. Prepare finances. Ensure proof of funds is complete and legitimate. Stay informed. Government rules may change. Always check IRCC updates. While these changes introduce more complexity, they also present opportunities for those who plan strategically. Canada still offers world-class education, excellent career pathways, and a safe, multicultural environment. Your journey to study in Canada begins with preparation and knowledge. With the right plan, Canada in 2025 can still be your dream destination.